The new Tilta Nucleus Nano 2 control handle is finally here. So let's see if it's worth it and how it stacks up against the original Nucleus Nano focus handle. I bought the handle with my own money, so Tilta has no influence over what I say about it. And I was really excited when I saw the new grip at NAB 2023 last year, and it took almost a full year for them to actually release it. But now that it's here and I've had some time to test it out and actually use it, I have some thoughts. First, the overall build quality and design is exactly what you would expect from Tilta. It's all really high quality materials. It's made of aluminum, some hard plastics, and a little bit of rubber on the grip. They made some nice improvements over the original Nucleus Nano, like now you can power the focus motor via USB-C cable instead of micro USB. They also added a battery door to the bottom that clicks shut. And this was a major problem on the previous model because there's just this little tab that keeps the battery in, and I found myself accidentally bumping it all the time on set, and the battery just pops out, slides out, hits on the floor. Obviously not good for the battery itself. And then I got to put the battery back in and recalibrate the lens. So it just takes up a lot of time on set and can actually cause you to lose the shot. Another nice addition is the LCD display. Now you can see your battery life and make changes to settings. Now for me, that's about where the new improvements end. There are a couple of software and hardware things that could really use some rethinking. The first and most major one for me is actually how you mount the handle. When you get this in the box, it doesn't actually come with any way to mount it. So you might be left wondering, well, what do I do with this? Do I just hand hold it and hold the camera, or what am I supposed to do? So you have to buy this little adapter, and it's this angled area rosette mount that goes to a 1/4-20 with locking pins. And this just attaches directly on top of the handle like this. Now with this piece on, we can actually mount this onto something with a rosette. So let me grab the Tilta lightweight shoulder rig, and I absolutely love this thing. I've actually done a full review of it already on the channel that I'll be sure to link above here. I've already taken off the original handle that comes with the shoulder rig. This is reversible, so you can take this little piece and mount it going towards the right or mount it going towards the left. So if you want to put your focus grip on the right side, you could definitely do that. I'm going to put mine on the left side because that's usually how I pull focus with my left hand. There we go. And now you can see that you can actually hold the shoulder rig with both of these grips. It's really comfortable. So let's get the camera actually mounted on here now so you can see a little bit better what this is gonna actually look like. And what I'm using today is the Sony FX3 with the Sirui Macro Cine Prime lenses. And I'm also using this Viltrox monitor on top. Now, obviously I have the monitor up on top of the top handle here. That's not normally where I'd put it on a shoulder rig. I usually just put it right here on a little magic arm, but I'm not gonna do that right this second just for this example. Now let's actually put the focus motor on here and I'll show you how pulling focus with the rig looks. And then I'm grabbing the new Nucleus Nano 2 motor. Now for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna plug the focus motor directly into the grip to supply power to it. You can go into a V-mount battery, and I'll show that setup a little bit later. But for this, because I don't have the V-mount set up right now, I'm just gonna do it here. Now they're both powered up. And let's see if it's still synced up. Okay, sweet. It is still synced up, but something's just happened. It's no longer operational. I've never seen this before. The motor just turned off. Okay, it's back on. It's like it automatically turns off when it's hitting like some sort of power surge or something. I can really feather it nice and gentle, but if it hits that edge and it's too much power, there's some sort of surge. It's just torquing off. Brother, and it is powered down. So you could run into the same problem. It's something to be aware of. I'm gonna switch it up and go directly to a V-mount battery instead of the handle. There we go. It's not powering off anymore. It seems to be liking the V-mount battery a lot better, which is normally what I do instead of running it off of the grip. I'm using this Tilta V-mount battery plate. All right, now I've got the V-mount battery actually on the shoulder rig, and it is just powering the focus motor. The actual focus grip is using the internal Sony NPF battery for its own power supply. So there we go. You can see as I pull my finger across the wheel, it's actually pulling focus on the lens. And that works really great. And this is just really comfortable for holding on the shoulder rig. I really like this setup. And I really think that's the way Tilta designed this little focus grip, was with the shoulder rig in mind. Okay, now that you've seen how well the new Nucleus Nano 2 grip works on a shoulder rig, let's look at how it works when you want to go handheld. So now we have the Sony FX3 set up with the V-mount battery, powering the motor, and you're ready to pull focus. But the real question is, how do you attach the focus grip to your handheld rig? Like, where does it actually go? So the only adapter that I know of right now is this little area rosette. And I don't have an area rosette anywhere on my handheld rig. Now I do have this little adapter piece that I purchased for my previous focus grip, and it's area rosette to NATO clamp, which works well for me because I have NATO on the side of my small rig cage here on the Sony FX3. So I could slide this on, and now we have an area rosette mounting spot for the focus grip. But something kind of strange happens here when I try to actually attach it. When I go to screw this in, for some reason, the screw isn't long enough. It's just not reaching actually in to the air rosette and catching. Won't actually lock on. Now, even if it did lock on, the grip, you'll see, actually pokes down way too far. You could see it sticking down 3 or 4 inches beneath your rig. And that makes no sense, because one, you wouldn't be able to put the camera down. It would be like this, lopsided. And when you're holding it handheld, you don't want your hand that much further down from the camera. It's awkward. You really want this flipped up like this, maybe up higher when you're actually gripping, or kind of right off to the side. But if you wanted to do that, well, then your focus little wheel here is backwards, and all of your controls are in the front facing the wrong way. So even if you flip this upside down, it wouldn't resolve the problem. And that's where the original Nucleus Nano makes a lot more sense, because the area rosette mount is on the bottom instead of on the top. So when I mount this here, which is what I've been doing for a few years now, you can see that it actually, one, attaches to the area rosette without any issue. But now I could pick up my whole rig just from this grip, and it's in a really nice, comfortable spot for holding the rig. And it doesn't stick down at all, so you can actually put your rig down, whereas you can't do that with this. It sticks down like this. If we had something on the side and another little piece, little area rosette or something, then I could attach this just like I do with this one to the side. It just doesn't work when you want to go handheld, which is usually how I'm shooting personally. So when I'm rocking a shoulder rig, I'll definitely be grabbing the new Nucleus Nano 2 grip because it works really well and it makes a lot of sense for this setup. But when I want to do something completely handheld, I'm just going to have to stick with the original Nucleus Nano until Tilta comes up with some other way to mount it to a handheld rig. Now, with all the camera rigging stuff out of the way, let's talk about a few of the more technical things like menus, settings, and actually pairing the handle to the motor itself, because I've got some thoughts here too. The first time you pair the handle to the motor is kind of complicated, and I had to watch the official Tilta setup video for the Nucleus Nano 2 way too many times, more times than I care to admit, because the whole system is a little bit complicated. Now, to get into the menu system, you have to triple tap on the power button and that'll bring it up. The first one is wireless. And to get into that, you can click on M and that'll bring you in. And then there's 2 ways to set it up. You can use easy mode, or you can use the joystick and go down to 2.4 gigahertz, which I don't use. I'm just using easy mode, clicking M again to select. And then now it's searching. Then on the motor itself, you need to double click the function button. Once you've done that, it's now in its pairing mode. And I can see it says search 1 on the handle. And so you click M again to select. Now it's trying to connect. And to finally connect it, so I pressed once and now it's paired. There really should just be a syncing button on here that maybe you hold down, and you hold down the function button on here and they both sync up. Or another really, really simple way would actually be to just plug in the USB-C cable from the motor directly into the side of the focus grip that also has USB-C and let them automatically sync. And then you can unplug it and go on about your day. There's a lot of devices out there that work that way, like Xbox controllers, the Nintendo Switch controllers. I'm not gonna go through all the settings on the control handle because there are a lot of them and you can just watch the official Tilta video on that. But I do wanna go through a couple of the basics that you're absolutely gonna need. So after it's paired, something you probably wanna do is a and B point. And those are really, really easy to set on the hand wheel. You just go to where you want, hit the function button, go to your B spot, hit the function button, and that's it. Imagine you're on a shoot and you want to set those A/B points. Well, triple press the power button, then go down to motor, press M, go to wheel motor, press M, go down, menu down, and then you get to A/B stop, press M, and then now choose your spot. And mine's not even synced anymore. Lost its sync connection somehow. Oh geez. Now that it's reconnected, let's set those A/B points. So now I've got my A and B stops, and that took a lot of button pressing to make happen. That is definitely not usable on a real production. The next setting that you're gonna need to do a lot on the control grip is actually calibrating the lens, because if you're using manual lenses like I am, and you're switching them out throughout the shoot, you have to recalibrate it every time. So you gotta triple click the power button to get into the menu, and then you need to go into motor, press M, wheel motor, press M, and then you're gonna arrow down with the joystick down to auto cal, press M, and then after 3 seconds, it'll start the auto calibration. That just takes way too long. This is something they could resolve really easily. There's this little button in the front of the grip. I believe it's a function button, but I couldn't find anything about it online, about what it does. Imagine that it could be programmable. What they should do is when you want to set an A/B hard stop, just press it once, go to your B spot, press it again. And then if you want to get rid of it, maybe hold it down for a few seconds and it goes away. The same thing for auto calibration. Instead of going through all the menus, maybe you hold down the function button in the front for 5 seconds. Whereas with the Nucleus Nano 1, there's just a calibrate button right on the back, and you hold it down for a few seconds, boom, calibrates the lens. Now, honestly, I know it might seem like I'm being a little bit nitpicky and too hard on this, but when you're on set, things move quickly and you just don't have time to go through a bunch of deep menus. Now, another thing that I struggled with, unfortunately, was the record button. So you should be able to start and stop recording with this, but I couldn't get it to actually get set up and work properly. Now, I followed all the instructions that Tilta put out there for the focus wheel, and I could get this set up to start and stop recording by pressing it on here and having all the right settings on my Sony FX3. But with those same settings and plugged in USB-C into the Sony FX3, the start-stop did not function. It was engineered even more specifically to work with the DJI Ronin RS3 Pro and RS4 Pro. It has a whole DJI mode that you can go into and use it for controlling the gimbal and that sort of thing. I don't have that gimbal, and I don't see myself having any need to do that either because the Pro models actually come with a focus motor, so I would just use the DJI focus motor. Now, something that's kind of cool is you can actually take the focus wheel that has a little NATO clamp here built into it with pin connectors on it on both sides, and you can actually attach these two together. It looks pretty cool together. I couldn't actually pair the focus wheel and the focus grip to the same motor at the same time, so I can't actually control both of them. I think what this is really set up for is if you want to run a fizz, so focus, iris, and zoom. This would be a good setup if you're running 3 different motors at once. So I think maybe what you would do is put the focus on this little finger wheel, then on the main wheel, you might have your iris, and then on this little rocker back here, you could have a zoom rock. There's also a cold shoe on the top here. There we go. Now we've got a really sweet setup for a focus puller. Someone doing full-time focus pulling. I think this is just a really sleek, slim little setup. I like that a lot. Now let's talk about how much this focus grip costs. So the focus grip by itself is $150, which I don't think is too bad. It's a pretty good price, and it's actually the same price, if I remember right, as the original Focus grip. Of course, you can buy the full kit with the wheel, the grip, and the motor itself, and I'll put that price up here if I can find it. Now, I don't want to totally sway you away from the Nucleus Nano 2 grip. I think it's perfect for shoulder rigs, but when I go handheld, I'm just gonna be sticking to the original Nucleus Nano 1 grip. But unfortunately, it is discontinued. So if you wanna pick one of these up, you're just gonna have to find it used online, like on eBay or something. All right, I think I've thoroughly torn apart the new Nucleus Nano 2 grip. I do love the guys over at Tilta. It's always fun to talk to them at NEB and through email. But I think there is some room for improvement here. Maybe they can change some of it with just some simple firmware updates. All right, guys, I've linked all the gear that I use in this video down in the description below, and anything you pick up does help support the channel so that I can keep creating reviews like this for you so you can find out what's worth buying and what's not. All right, I'll see you in the next video.